Good afternoon, everyone. The Center for Responsible Business is bringing today's LinkedIn Live session as part of its 7th annual flagship Sustainable Business Conference, which is the India and Sustainability Standards 2020. This year, we will be having the conference virtually from the 28th to the 30th of October. Today's LinkedIn Live session, which is actually the second LinkedIn Live session, is also in partnership with the Bharati Institute of Public Policy, the Indian School of Business. In today's live as well, we will continue to talk about aspects of a sustainable forest-based economy, and we will also look at projects within that context that ISB is leading or intending to lead. In view of the same, today we have Dr. Anjul Prakash, who is Research Director and Adjunct Associate Professor at the Bharati Institute of Public Policy. He has 2 decades of experience focusing on policy research, advocacy, capacity building, knowledge management, and implementation of large-scale and multi-country climate change and development projects in South Asia. Keeping him company and facilitating today's conversation is Nandini Sharma. She's director at the Center for Responsible Business. So without any ado, Nandini, I hand over today's charge to you.
Thank you so much, Shreya. A very good afternoon to everybody who's logged into this LinkedIn Live session. As Shreya mentioned, we are very, very pleased to have with us Dr. Anjul Prakash from ISB joining us for a conversation. In fact, taking this conversation forward on forest economy, sustainable forest economy. In our last LinkedIn Live session with Dr. Chatre, we spoke or delved deeper into aspects of economics, understanding the economic importance of forest-based economy and how governance and systems and having stronger market linkages can help create a sustainable and robust, resilient forest economy. Also, how technology plays a pivotal role in all of that. But today, our focus for a conversation with Dr. Anjul Prakash is on aspects of environment and gender. So while we uncover these very important and critical aspects of forest economy, looking at it via the environment and gender prism, we would like to invite Dr. Prakash to join us for this LinkedIn Live session. So over to you, Dr. Prakash, and thank you so much for making time for this LinkedIn Live session.
Salam, namaste, and very good morning and good afternoon to all of you wherever you are in the world. I'm very happy to join the session, Nandini and Shreya, with you in this conversation, which is very timely, and it's an important point that you're making, especially coming from the community, which is more on the responsible business side, and us in the Bharati Institute of Public Policy that looks into issues of larger issues of governance and public policy. So it's a very good venture to talk about this in this conversation. I hope I will go well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Prakash, and we are very excited to know more about what you have to speak to us on forest economy, particularly from an environment standpoint. So here goes my first question to you, Dr. Prakash. How would you define a sustainable forest economy from an environment standpoint? And here I would like to sort of add and ask you also, how do you see a sustainable forest economy, particularly again from an environment standpoint, how do you see it playing a role in India achieving its SDG goals on environment and on climate? So over to you.
Thanks, Nandini. See, this is a no-brainer that forest economy, especially the management of forest, will contribute to the environment process. And simply put, we cannot survive on this planet without forest. So forest is essential part of our life. In a sense that they breathe for the earth, they absorb carbon dioxide from our atmosphere. So whatever development process produces carbon dioxide, forests are the first one to, trees are the first one to absorb it. They also produce oxygen in return. So that's something that is the important aspect that they play in is very paramount for our own survival. And by storing the carbon, forests help to regulate the global climate. They absorb about 40% of the fossil fuel emissions that we humans produce. So this is a very important part in forest plays in making our planet more sustainable. Now, coming to the sustainable forest economy, it is actually about ensuring secure resource rights and livelihood for communities in close proximity to forest, and especially depending on the instrumental in forest conservation and protection. So that's one point. The second is also how do we address the issues of poverty and lack of stable economic resources, because it impedes the stewardship towards environmental value and exploitative and illegal measures, right? We have seen that the changes in the land cover and heavy dependency on agriculture issues have actually degraded the habitat further, and the quality of environment also has been reduced. Now, in this gamut, the sustainable forest economy addresses these issues in the first hand by allowing fair supply chain of forest produce, and in return incentivizes people who protect them. Right. So this is something that is a very important aspects of a sustainable living, and the forest plays a very important role. And people who protect this forest for us are much more important for us in that sense. Now, coming to the issue on the Sustainable Development Goal, as all of you know, that the SDGs, as it called in short, are the blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all of us, right? And they address some of the global challenges that we face in today. For example, poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation. These are the challenges which Sustainable Development Goal actually has in its own in the goal which the world community tracks it where we are and each of these goals. Now, two of these goals are very important for sustainable project for forest management. First is the goal 13, which is on climate action, and the second is goal 15, which actually focuses on protection, restoration, and promotion of sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem, sustainably managing forests. So forest is a small part, also looking at the issues of desertification and land degradation, as well as the biodiversity loss. But these two goals are very important for us when we are trying to look into the issues of forest management. Uh, what I would actually say that if we are able to manage our forest well, I think with India and with the large land resources that we have and the forest cover that we have, still we have good cover, forest cover, which would be able to help us in achieving all these goals in sustainable manner. Over to you, Nandini.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Anjal. If I understand you correctly, forests, of course, are going to be extremely important if India has to sort of fulfill its commitments on the SDGs on environment and climate. And this leads me to my next question, which is we would like to know more about the work that ISB is doing in ensuring that India is well on its way to achieving these SDG goals. I mean, work on forest creating these sustainable forest-based economies. If you could maybe shed some light on that, that'd be very useful. So over to you, Dr. Anjal.
Yeah. Thanks, Nandini. ISB has been working in the space of forest governance for a couple of years, and last 2 years we have a project which is going to go into an extension phase now. Next 2 more years, we are going to working. There are 4 aspects of this project which I would like to highlight here for the audience. One is that we are looking at the community forest rights and its implementation through technical support to government. So this time what we are doing is that we are working not only with the community but also with the government, because that's where the main policy changes and the policy inputs are required for making this the community forest right more accessible to the forest dwelling communities. So that's number one, that we are going to be working with the technical support, providing technical support to the government. Second is not going to be only about government and communities. We also bringing in the businesses together. So this is about building a partnership between businesses and forest dwellers. Now, this has been an issue of contentions for all these years, and has been, businesses are still not a very good word in India. They always think that when businesses are always extracting people, and especially when it comes to poor tribal areas or forest dwelling communities, they always think that businesses cannot help but extract more resources from them. And that has been rightly so, because all these years there hasn't been any positive example or very few positive examples. Now we want to bring in, and I think especially your organization, the Center for Responsible Business, we are also catching that terms in a sense, saying that these are responsible businesses and they want to have a first-hand discussion with the forest dwellers and have a direct communication on that, and then probably take out all the middle people who are involved in this whole process. So that's the second point. The third, we are looking at how we can support this whole process through a technological process. That means you are able to bring in technology, especially internet-based systems and apps and other things which will help farmers to directly deal with the businesses, and also government to track these processes. So that is something that we are trying to do from Indian School of Businesses, to bring in technology, because it's a very democratic resource. We haven't used it for all this, for the benefit of the communities. It's been, so that's the third one. And fourth part, which is very important, is about knowledge management and communication. I think whatever we're doing, if we're doing it in Cocoon, it will not help, because we need to also reach out to a large number of people, especially people working with the forest communities and in these areas, which will help them to reiterate, on at least to take these as examples, and probably use this in different places. So knowledge management and communication is important function of this project. Now let me come to the last point, that in terms of what are the approaches. So the first approach that we have is what we call is the multiple actor approach, and this one is a promise for a long-term governance enabled income resources and a thorough understanding of forest management that can help to achieve the maximum potential of Forest Rights Act. So we are trying to work with the government, and there are four states that we have been working with already, as Orissa, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Himachal Pradesh. And we will try and bring in strong, I'm sorry, government representatives, especially the in the CM's office, for example, or Ministry of Tribal Affairs, or other forest departments as well. So these are the major work that is going on at this moment, and we are now going into our second phase to making it much more relevant for businesses as well as for the communities together.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Anjal. This seems to be a very, very exciting project, and we at CRB are very, very happy to be a part of it, and really looking forward to it, hitting the ground running. So extremely, extremely happy for this opportunity also. And, just reiterating, I think some of the key, the novel factors of this project really that you highlighted on, building on community rights, bringing in technology as an enabling, as a catalyst and as an enabler. And then I think an aspect that we tend to forget really about communication and knowledge management, because I absolutely agree that, it has to be, whatever knowledge is garnered needs to be sort of disseminated widely and used intelligently. And I think the most important point, which is really, the importance of collaboration, wherein you get government and you get businesses and really working with all stakeholders together for a win-win sort of a situation. I think these are extremely critical to creating a sustainable forest economy. So thank you for those insights on the project. I would also now want to, and I think it sort of comes, flows through from these points that you're highlighting on, community rights and, bringing in different stakeholder interests. So here I would like to then bring in the lens of gender into this whole forest, forest-based economy, or forest economy, so to say. And what I would like, you talked about, the approaches, and you talked about governance being an important aspect of it. So I would like to ask you here that what do you see as gender specific issues in forest governments, and how do you see, in particular women, playing, what kind of a role do you see them playing, or empowering them would help in creating sort of or achieving a sustainable forest management, economy. So really focusing on women, their role, how their empowerment sort of, brings in better management of forests. So over to you.
Thanks, Nandini. See, there's a increasing body of knowledge which already exists that points toward gender differences between women and men in terms of the extent to which they play a role in forest management, especially for the livelihood and for And these purposes are very intrinsic. So women's role is very intrinsic to the part of the forest, especially those areas which is heavily forested. Women are actually at the forefront of the economy. They have a direct relevance, but the problem is that often men control most of the valuable resources that can be sold in the market, such as timber. You have gums and other things. So the actual labor goes into in collection of these minor forest produce, for example, is by women. So women are largely involved. About 70 to 80% of the labor actually is done by women, but the market is totally patriarchal, very controlled by men mostly, and then it's a very masculine in nature, the way market functions. So very less entry for women folk or the feminine principles to be applied in those things. So that's one part of it. So second is about women's control over resources that may be more commonly centered on the management and use of fuel wood for fodder and non-timber produce, right? So these are things which are smaller stuff. So that is generally you see larger women's role. But the forest degradation also has to be meant that the women had to walk longer distances into forests to source these materials. So these are something like, for example, fuel wood. The more forest gets farther and farther for women, if she has to walk more longer distances, and it has a negative impact on what we call the time poverty of women. Now, time poverty is something that women are working from day morning, and I've been working with on these issues for the last 2 decades, and I see sometimes women work in the rural areas or even urban areas more than 18 hours, 16 to 18 hours a day. They start from as early as 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And if there's a further degradation of forest, their time gets more elongated if they have to go further distance to fetch all these resources, which they are directly dependent on. Second is also about income and about their personal safety. That is the issues also paramount in the management of forest. Now, what we are saying is that the sustainable forest management project, whichever the project we are looking at, should have an explicit gender lens, because it can help women's vulnerability understand at least. So you reduce women's vulnerability, and you also enhance their socioeconomic empowerment by reducing informality in the production and the marketing of non-timber produce. So it is women's labor which has been used in collection of these forest produce, but if you link them directly in the marketing forefront, they will directly be benefited in terms of their own income coming directly to their own account. And probably one portion of their income, if their income increases their empowerment. I'm not saying that the total economic empowerment will bring make the gender relations much better, but at least to some extent women get a lot of bargaining power if they have more economic resources coming directly to their own kitty. So that's one part of it. Second is also about promoting legal reforms in land tenure, because most of the time women do not own land, even if it is forest land. And also we are trying, whenever we're talking about forest rights, community forest right, we're also saying that how women and men together as a member of those society can own those land together. So it's not only about men owning the land, but also women also equally owning the land. Third is also about institutional development through enhanced training and leadership, because we also feel that it has been a long process of disempowerment for women. They have not come. So you need a lot of hand-holding. So you need special treatment. You need to have work much more closely with women, get them to through our training leadership program, get them to on the forefront of the economy. And that's something that cannot be done in a projectile fashion, but definitely if you work with the government, you can infuse these into a normal training program, which will help them in a longer term. So that is what I would suggest is specifically looking at gender issues in the forest governance space.
Right. Thank you so much for that very, very comprehensive response to the question. I think and the way it's been approached, it's a very holistic sort of an approach where the issues on the legal rights, on tenure rights is being, so these are more governance and systemic issues. Then also, I thought that even the market, the lacunas or the gaps in the or the sort of anomalies in the market where you have most of the market being dominated by the male workforce and a lot of the labor coming in from the women workforce, sort of addressing those kind of issues are actually extremely important, and it's glad and very heartening to know that ISB is sort of looking at these very critical issues and trying to address them through innovative approaches and ways and means. So thank you so much for that response. I would like to ask you one concluding. I know we are short on time, but we'd like to ask you one sort of concluding question, which is what do you think are some of the important action areas to take forward this sustainable forest economy agenda forward? What do you think needs to be done in the immediate future?
Let me focus, because we are running short of time, let me focus on four very important points here for the sustainable forest management issues properly, to look into how do we further this agenda. So number one point is actually, and that is this project that we are also talking about, is that making a business case for forest, community forest right-based forest governance. That means in all these years, we have found that the forest dwellers have never been benefited by the produce that they make. They protect the forest. They, they have certain harvesting of minor forest produce, which they have rights over those forests, but they are not directly kind of benefited in as much as the other people who are in the value supply chain get benefited. So one is that you have to have a business case of, so that, and these are vast resources, which goes in millions and billions of rupees, which is involved in this economy. So there's no other way than to make these people, the primary producers of these forests, make directly benefited by the whole process. That's one part of it. The second is in terms of data transparency from government and international industrial agencies, directly impacting the trade of minor forest produce, because there's a lot of wishy-washy stuff that goes into buying and selling, and then still there's a government control over this whole process. And you've seen the recent farmers bill, which has been there also in some process. It is also trying to eliminate the middle people who are middlemen, and they're trying to trying to find the loopholes in the systems and protect their own benefits for their own self. Here also we're trying to say that we need to have certain system which eliminates these people in middle, and then have direct this kind of agreement between the businesses and the forest dwelling communities. Now, how is that possible? Unless this, because businesses will not come unless they have a secured tenure of rights over the forest produce, because that's where the businesses will definitely look forward. So if these two things can be brought together in a responsible fashion, and then we have seen, and there's a lot of case studies that ISB has earlier documented, it shows that in fact, when the larger resources flows in from the businesses to the communities, the communities are much more pronounced in for managing the forest, and their examples of sustainable management of forest becomes very important for them as well, because they see that if they don't do it next year, the produce is less, they'll get less money from the whole market. So that's that part of it. The third is definitely, and this linked with the second point, is about market linkages and the role of forest conservation through a digital framework, because the digital platforms gives you much more transparency, and you're trying to see that everybody has access to that. And if you're training, so it's not because some areas are very poorest and they do not have those connections as we wish them to be, but we'll try to work out in a pilot basis how this can be brought together, and then once it is done, it is taken forward. So that's the point. Last point, and I will come back to the whole point on gender, is to bring women on the forefront of these issues. I think what my experiences has been in the past is that if you bring them on board, you will find that sometimes the returns are much more than what we ever expected. One is that it furthers the cause of more women in the public spaces. It gives them much more empowerment, and it also deals with them in terms of direct income coming to women directly. So these are the four areas I would put forward for the sustainable forest economy for India and for elsewhere in the world.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Anjal Prakash. I think that was a very, I mean, it looks pretty ambitious to me, sounds at least a little ambitious, but I see that ISB is doing it and has had success in doing so and is continuing to pursue this. So it's pretty much achievable. And I think some of the points that you did mention, really bringing businesses, more and more businesses on board, having a collaborative, sort of approach to things where businesses and the ultimate beneficiaries or the people, the labor force, the workers, they all sort of have their interests and taken care of, and safeguards are all in place. I think that's again very important, that kind of a market linkage, transparent market linkage. Then really how you explained, I think, of the government's role really in ensuring, enabling and progressive regulations and their implementation across board, those aspects, I think, and also on knowledge and data management. I think those are very important topics in themselves and issues which needs to be tackled. So thank you for that, providing us that blueprint in terms of really some of these important action areas that need to be looked into. Once again, a very interesting, a very illuminating discussion, Dr. Anjal Prakash. Thank you once again for the inputs. We hope to see you for a more detailed discussion on this very topic on the 30th of October. More detail, Shreya will of course share more details with you. So I will conclude by thanking Shreya and Anjal, Dr. Anjal for this lovely conversation today. Over to you, Shreya.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Anjal, for your insights and sharing your experiences. Thank you, Nandini, for facilitating this. And like you mentioned, for everybody else who's tuned in, please do join us on the 30th of October at 2 p.m. We have a dedicated high-level plenary planned to discuss and talk about perspectives from different stakeholders in how to engage with forest-based communities and businesses. So please do join us again, 30th October, 2 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Once again, have a wonderful rest of the day.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.